Unafraid Show, Reister or Wrong. It's your boy, George Reister, in the building. Thank you guys for joining me today. I appreciate your time, appreciate your energy, and always visit unafraidshow.com. All type of articles up. Today, the Pac-12 power rankings are up. And, of course, we bring in a guest. And today, we have Mr. Aaron J. Fentress from NBCSports Northwest. He covers the Ducks, he covers the Pac-12, he covers the Seattle Seahawks, and this is a man who is opinionated and is not shy about anything.
Me?
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, thanks for joining us today, Aaron.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
So we got to start the same way we start out every Unafraid show when our guests are on, and it starts out with the dropping a dime. So it's 10 questions, and we need your honesty and your best answer.
Okay. All right.
So the first question, Aaron, is what piece of advice would you give yourself at 18 years old?
Oh, wow. What piece of advice would I give myself at 18? Damn, that's a tough one. Don't let women distract you.
Okay. Hey, that's a good one. I think all men can take that advice at some point in time. Number 2, what is the one thing that gets you excited today?
My kids doing well at something that they struggled at prior. Like if they're struggling at something in sports, or they've done dance, guitar, et cetera, et cetera. When they're struggling at it and they work at it, or I work with them on something, and then it clicks and they get it. That's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything like too many things better when you see your kids like excelling at something, especially when they just tried and it was difficult for them at first.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always great. Number 3, where do you, Aaron Fentress, want to be in 10 years?
Retired on a beach.
in the States or out of the States?
Probably in the States. Actually, you know what? You know what my fantasy is? When I get close to retirement, I want to take a job in Chicago at any outlet that'll have me and cover the Bears for a couple of years. That's my favorite team. I've always wanted to cover them. I almost had a chance to cover them a few years ago. It didn't work out, but I think 60 would be close to retirement. Just whatever job I'm doing at 60, just quit it, move to Chicago, cover the Bears for a few years, and then glide into retirement.
Okay, that's good. Who is your favorite hero of all time?
Oh man, when I was a kid, my 4 biggest heroes were Walter Payton, Magic Johnson, Sugar Ray Leonard, and Michael Jackson.
Oh man, it's crazy because one of mine I feel like he let me down in the last 2 years, and that was Ben Carson. I loved Ben Carson when I was growing up. Like I read his books, read Think Big, Gifted Hands, all that, and he just didn't like the transition from the guy I read in the book to what I felt like he was when he was running for president. It was kind of disappointing. He wasn't as bold as I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, he's a character.
Yeah. Who is your favorite villain of all time?
Ooh, I think by far the greatest by far the greatest villain of all time is Darth Vader. I mean, and I was a kid when Star Wars first came out, so Darth Vader was like, oh my goodness. And then my second favorite villain, right close behind him, I think is Hannibal Lecter.
Oh yeah. Hello, Clarice.
Exactly.
Number 6 on the dropping a dime. If you woke up tomorrow, if Aaron Fentress, you woke up tomorrow and found out that you lost it all, who would be to blame? And what's the first thing you would do to get it back?
Well, how am I losing it all?
That's the question for you. If you lost it all, if you woke up homeless tomorrow, whose fault would it be? Who's to blame?
Well, I can't imagine that happening by the hands of someone else, so it would have to have been my fault. I would have to have done something drastically stupid for that to happen, and I'd probably have to blame myself and have to straighten myself out and fix it.
Okay. Number 7. What are you afraid of? Besides Mario Cristobal winning a national championship.
I'm not afraid of that. I've always had a spider phobia. I don't like spiders very much. Are you talking about things like that?
No, it doesn't matter. It's
anything. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've always had a spider thing, although I've gotten over it lately. They don't bug me as much. Like I see them now, I don't freak out. I just kind of go and get a glass and an envelope, stick it underneath, put the glass on top of them, and I take them outside and I save them.
Hey man, hey, that is bold of you to be able to be around a spider at your age.
I'm evolving. Something real, more tangible. I guess disappointing my kids would be the most frightening thing.
See, man, that's a good dad, man. We got great dads over here because, like, to me, there's nothing better than when my kids, when they look at me and with pride, and they're like, "Oh man, that's my dad, man. He's cool today."
Exactly.
Number 8. What will finally break the internet?
What will break the internet? Are you talking about literally like the internet dies, or like something that's going to make it crash?
No, like
I'm too literal, sorry.
Like remember when they said Kim Kardashian broke the internet with her picture on the cover of Fader? Like what will finally just shut the internet down for an entire day?
You know, when Michael Jackson passed away, the internet did have some issues that day. It was like the most traffic ever, but it didn't quite shut it down. So it'd have to be something bigger than that. I would say World War III. If World War III started, I would say the internet would crash. I think people would freak out.
You guys are watching the Unafraid Show. George Reister here with our guest Aaron Fentress from NBCSports Northwest. He's a writer. He does digital things. He covers the Ducks, covers the Seattle Seahawks, the NFL, college football, and the Pac-12 as well. Number 9 in Dropping a Dime, before we get to all your expertise. If you could not be you, who would you be?
Oh, my goodness. If I could not be me, who would I be? Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know, man. I think the right entertainer with the correct intellect could make a huge impact on the world. I don't think we've seen that person yet. So I would like to be someone of influence, both in the art, some kind of art form and politically at the same time, and try and heal the world.
So you want to be Kanye?
Oh hell no! See, Kanye, that's my point. We just haven't had. I would say the closest we've had, really, in terms of entertainer / sports figure who actually had some kind of political vibe to them that kind of resonated, was Muhammad Ali. But he was, and I think he made a lot of inroads in his era. I don't think we've had anyone close to that since. There's never, like, Michael Jordan maybe could have been, but he didn't have the political awareness. Tiger Woods has stayed away from that kind of thing. Michael Jackson was too flighty. He had the popularity, but he just was too immature to be able. But someone who could, because you have to be, because look what Trump's done. I mean, part of the reason why Trump became president is because people bought into his personality, rightly or wrongly. But he's just the wrong cat, right?
Yeah.
So you need someone with that kind of name recognition,
for sure.
But also the right temperament and intellect to bring things together. He's not that guy.
Yeah, the thing that I think is interesting about like politics now is that we see how fame like influences politics, because we've seen so many former athletes, former people from, actors, all of this stuff, like getting involved in politics, and how that actually shapes an election. Because the fact that Trump was on The Apprentice, it literally changed how everybody viewed him.
Exactly.
So, because he looked like a boss, like he was the boss, like he was the guy hiring and firing everybody. He was the guy making the deals. Almost done in Dropping a Dime. Number 10, Aaron Fentress. What is your guilty pleasure TV show you watch but are embarrassed about?
Oh, there's not a show right now that I watch that I would be embarrassed about. I'm a big fan of Blackish and Modern Family. My wife and I have been catching up on Game of Thrones. We just finished season 6. But I would say that there was a show a couple summers ago I watched that I don't tell very many people about. but I came across it by accident, and I rolled my eyes at it, and then I couldn't stop watching it, and I watched the entire season, and it was Mariah Carey's reality show about her tour in Europe.
Oh my God! Oh man,
Dude,
that is definitely a show that I would
it
not
was,
tell anybody I was watching.
but I'm telling you, man, Mariah Carey is hilarious. She's such a diva. I was just transfixed. Like she had
Yeah,
this lackey who worked for her who was like trying so hard to please her, right?
yeah,
That like I think it was like at 2 or 3 a.m. in France. They arrive in France, and she sends this poor woman out to find her some kind of food. I can't remember what it was. But it was like 3 a.m. and the poor woman's walking around France, like trying to figure out where to buy this. And then the number one assistant is telling this new assistant, "You better not piss her off. You'll get fired." It drew me in. I was hooked, and I'm ashamed of myself.
Oh, the best part about Mariah Carey is that me and my wife have a joke with our kids that if they're doing something selfish, they go, and it all comes back to me. And it all
Exactly.
comes back because that is her, like
That is
summed
Mariah.
up in a nutshell.
That's right.
So
You know what? Back to the other question about the celebrity that has the chance to be politically impactful. LeBron.
for sure, because he's smart, he's intelligent, and he's doing like so many like positive things out in the world. He's getting his school, like you have to be proud of somebody who is using their influence and using their money to help people. And you had people actually trying to tear him down, saying, "Oh, he's not paying for the entire school himself." But he made like a lifelong. Commitment. So when you think about the fact that he's looking at like $5 million a year for the school, plus another I'm sorry, like $3 million a year for the school, plus all the 1,100 scholarships he's already paying for people to go to school out of his own pocket. Like over the course of like 25 years, that's like $100 million.
Yep.
Like nobody donates that kind of money, man. No, I mean except Phil Knight, but he's getting something in return for it. Like LeBron's donating and getting nothing back.
Right. No, I would be interested to see if at age 45 or so he thinks about running for president. Maybe. Never know.
Yeah, he might, because he will have that type of cachet. But now, Aaron, we got to get down to the nitty gritty. We got to get down to all the things that the Duck fans want to know. And the first question that I have to ask you that Duck fans want to know is, why do you hate the Ducks?
Oh my God. Come on. You don't honestly believe that, do you?
No. I don't believe that you hate the Ducks.
But some Ducks fans do.
Yeah, they believe that either A, you hate the Ducks, or that you are actively trolling Ducks fans.
Okay, I will admit that there are times I will dangle a little bit of a troll out there, only because I know there's suckers out there that'll go for the bait. So I will admit that sometimes I play a little mind games. But no, I do not hate the Ducks at all. That's ridiculous. My job as a reporter has always been to be on the fence. I'm objective. I'm not emotionally involved. So when you're a fan, you're emotionally involved. And so you're worried about every little thing that happens. It means something to you. It gets to you. It tugs at your heartstrings, rightly or wrongly or goodly or badly or whatever. For me, I'm indifferent. That said, I've never rooted against the Ducks. I would rather see the coaches that I know and the players that I know win over a bunch of people I don't know. I mean, why would I want the Ducks to lose to Utah? Yeah. I've never met a person on a Utah team. Whereas the coaches, you get to know them a little bit. The players, you get to know them a little bit. I would rather them win than lose. I'm just not emotionally invested, and I'm objective. So when I come up with certain opinions or takes on things, they're based on objectivity, not emotion. That's why people who are emotionally attacked think I'm being negative when I'm just being objective.
So this week I kind of blasted a little bit Oregon student section, Oregon fans, and Pac-12 fans in general, because it doesn't matter as much to Pac-12 fans as it does to other conferences. I was at the UCLA USC game on Saturday, and it was like the Rose Bowl was only about 70% full. I mean, like, I know it seats 100,000 people. However, it's 12 million people here in LA. And it seems like that people that they don't show up quite as much when their team isn't quite as good. But you don't see that in SEC country, where their motto is "It just matters more," and I think that translates to the respect that the Pac-12 doesn't get.
I totally agree. There's definitely a difference in the fan adulation on the West Coast versus back east. I think that's why back east in the SEC they always view the West Coast as almost sort of fluffy in a way. It's kind of
Yeah.
fluff football, right? It's a little soft, and it's not just on the field. It's how the fans react to it, how the fans embrace it, the stadiums, the size of the stadiums, the fans and what kind of energy they bring or don't bring. I think it's absolutely true. I will say though that I think on the West Coast that I don't necessarily think I don't think that's negative for our society. I think obviously it impacts football, but let's just face it. I think on the West Coast we're just more culturally advanced.
I would I would kind of argue with that as well, but
you would
a little bit. But at the same time, like specifically as it relates to football, like it's gotta matter more. Like because people can discount you in life, regardless of whether it's football, whether it's African Americans being killed by the police, however you want to like equate it. Like if you don't like take ownership of your own stuff and care about your own stuff, care about your own people, care about this, then other people are just gonna it doesn't matter. We can slight them, we can discount them.
True, but let me ask you this: maybe in the SEC they're too obsessed. That's why I talk about being more culturally advanced. Whatever people are doing instead of going to the game in LA, they're doing things that people in the SEC country are not doing.
Correct.
So is it
They're
better?
not
Is
out
it better?
hiking and
or going to an arts festival or a Shakespeare play or whatever, the things that whatever they do down in LA, I don't even know how to live down there. But the point is, they're doing other things. To me, that's a better society than the society where you're going to poison a tree because you're in Auburn. Was it Alabama fan poisoned an Auburn tree, right? Yeah,
yep.
That's psychotic.
No,
right?
Aaron, I am 100% all in on both because there's plenty of time to do both. There's plenty of time.
There's no time to poison trees?
Yeah, no. Poison a tree is too far, but I admire the commitment and the fanatic. I said that Pac-12 fans need to stop being fans and start being fanatics. I mean, it is absolutely time.
We're too involved. We're too involved for that.
And Ducks fans, I feel like they used to be fanatics. But right now they were fanatics for about
they were bandwagon fanatics. They were what I always said they were.
I was in school from 99 to the 2002-2003 season.
Right.
And I loved it there. Like the fans, it was always full. Like it was sold out. We were part of the sellout streak.
Right.
And yes, we were winning a lot of games, but the sellout streak continued. The fans, and then all of a sudden now it seems like that the new kids that are coming in school, the new fans are just kind of like they're kind of like And I don't understand when the team has, for the last 20 years been so much better than it had ever been.
Because when you guys won and went to the Fiesta Bowl and all that, that was newfound success. That was something unique and special that hadn't been done in Oregon, right?
Yep.
So then you fast forward to the Chip Kelly era, and that was new because they went to the Rose Bowl for the first time in 80 whatever years. Then they went to the national championship game, so that was all new. Then they won a Rose Bowl for the first time. So once you left that, though, anything less than that for the new age fan, then you factor in the money that the tickets cost now, the prices, how they've gone up. That all, to me, contributes to the fact where now you're not getting sellouts because, A, Oregon's been there, done that. B, these are new age fans who probably don't appreciate the history prior to you guys, right? The younger fans today don't remember when the Ducks sucked. The older fans remember, and they're still going. The older fans are still going, right?
That makes sense, yeah.
And then you factor in the fact that they're struggling now. So then it's like, oh, well, I was going to Oregon fans when they were contending for national titles and Mariota was playing. Why am I going to go now when they're 7-4? So you get that.
If the Ducks finish 9-4 in a season where they have a new head coach and all of that, the fact that seems like a disappointment to me is absolutely outrageous.
I know, but look what happened just in 2015 when Helfrich went 9-4 and everyone acted like the sky was falling. Remember that?
Hey, hold up. Oh, all right. Okay, so now we can get to your man Mark Helfrich. So why? All right. Do you owe Mark Helfrich money? Does he have pictures of you, incriminating evidence? Because I have never heard anybody advocate for a coach in any place as hard as you ride for Mark Helfrich. Like, did you guys go to high school together? What?
Okay, here's the deal. First of all, I am naturally a coach apologist. Like, I think coaches receive way too much credit and way too much blame. The players got to perform, right? We agree with that.
Yeah.
You have to make, when you made plays, was it because your tight ends coach, helped you make plays? He taught you some things.
Yeah.
He coached you. But at the end of the day, you had to read the route, read the defense, run the route, get open, and make the catch and make the touchdown, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the execution falls into play, and sometimes you get a group of players who maybe don't execute as well as other players. So I think sometimes there's too much blame and too much notoriety for coaches winning or losing. So that's one. So I naturally will lean toward defending a coach because I think they're unfairly attacked a lot of times. That's one. Two, it's not that I'm enamored with Helfrich. Helfrich and I did not have a relationship away from press conferences. I didn't have his phone number. He and I never talked. It's not like we were boys or anything like that.
Seriously?
And you would think, huh?
Yeah.
You would think I was in his wedding, right? So it wasn't that at all. My thing, clearly, and I made this statement millions of times, I made it to you. The bottom line is, whatever his faults were, I believe he earned the right to work his way through those faults. He was a young head coach. He had never been a head coach before.
Yep.
Right? So that was his first stint as a head coach. So to expect him not to make some mistakes, not to have some speed bumps was ridiculous. That should have been expected. That's one. Two, they went to the national championship game. To me, that is game over. I believe every debate I have with anyone about Helfrich ends right there. They went to the national title game. He recruited and developed the only Heisman Trophy winner in the history of that program. He was OC when they went to the national title. He was the OC when they won a Rose Bowl. He was OC when they won the Fiesta Bowl. So my point is,
I've never disputed.
Okay, so then why then do we say one bad year and, oh, yeah, there might have been some cultural problems and some discipline problems. We just throw everybody out.
No,
here's the case.
All right. So I have a couple counterpoints to that. I don't think that anybody has ever argued about Mark Helfrich as an offensive coordinator because he's done a great job. He's doing a great job with the Bears right now. Like, he's clearly showing that like he's shown throughout his career that he's excellent at that.
Okay, so, and where's Oregon's offense right now?
Oh, I tweeted about the last game against Arizona State. That the at Oregon's first half, I actually sent you a direct message. I said it looks like Mark Helfrich is calling the plays right now.
Exactly.
Because he's excellent at that. And I do agree with your point that he's a first-time head coach and there are some speed bumps. But I think that there are two things that you always have to factor in when you hire a coach. Or I'm sorry, when you fire a coach. Number one, you have to ask yourself a question. Is that every coach needs to be evaluated at the end of every season. Right. Every season, whether you won the national championship like Nick Saban did last year or whether you went defeated and lost all 12 games. Is that you have to ask yourself, is there a coach that I can guarantee get that will do a better job than the one that I have now? Right. So like even if you are Dabo Swinney and Clemson, if they could get Nick Saban, I would fire Dabo Swinney. I mean, but so that's the first thing that you had to ask yourself.
And how'd that work out?
And hold on. And I thought the answer to that question was yes. That like you could have got a better coach potentially. But first of all, I didn't even feel like that they should have hired Mark Helfrich anyway. When they did, I thought that they should have aggressively gone after Chris Peterson, and that they should not have listened to Chip as much and having so much influence and passing it down. I thought they should have went to Chris Peterson. He had been there. He was the wide receiver coach when I was there. He had ties to Oregon. He would have been happy to come back to Oregon.
But they wanted to maintain offensive continuity because they had Mariota and everything, and it worked out. But you're shaking your head, but it worked.
Yeah, in the short term it worked, but I think that you would have had the same thing had Chris Peterson went to be the head coach.
Was he going to run that offense?
Yes, at 100%.
You'd have hired a coordinator to run that offense.
Correct.
Okay.
Or he would have found a way to retain Helfrich. And my second, because he wouldn't have been as hot of a coaching candidate because so many people believe that it was Chip Kelly's doing.
Right.
The second thing when it comes to firing a coach is there a loss of hope? Like, can this coach go into a 18-year-old's house and sell them on the fact that the future's brighter than the past? And I thought that was absolutely lost.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I know these high school kids. I sit around with them. Like I see them when my son goes to go work out. They talk to him, and it was a loss of hope.
No,
like it was like damaged brand.
No. Go ahead, though. Finish your point.
No, that's the point. Is that the brand had been damaged, and you had to, like, I'm not a person that believes in doing something. I believe in doing the right thing, and I thought that firing Helfrich, even though it was a little bit early, I thought it was the right thing to do at the time.
All right. So when there was chatter out there they were going to fire him, I declared basically 3 warnings. One was I declared straight up they're not going to go out there and get some marquee coach. I thought that was ridiculous. There's no way. The idea that Oregon was go out there and make some really good, successful coach from another program, another major program in a Power 5 conference, leave that program to come to Oregon was absolutely foolhardy. Like, I basically said flat out, that's not going to happen.
So do you think that it would have happened if the Ducks were ponying up SEC money?
They were.
No, they weren't.
For the right coach, they would have.
Oh no.
No. They were gonna pay. They were gonna offer someone more than whatever they were making to get them. They weren't gonna ask them to take a pay cut. As a matter of fact, when Taggart went to leave the Florida State, they offered Taggart $5 million a year. Correct. They tried to match. Correct. So they were willing to pay the money to get there. They could have gotten what's his face? Is it Patterson and TCU? They wanted him. Yeah. McElwain, they were gonna offer him more, and he was making in Florida. I don't know why they wanted him.
Thank God they didn't do that.
Mullen, they were high on Herman. They were offering Herman a boatload of money when he went to Texas. They were going to open the bank for a big-time coach. But my prediction was it wasn't going to happen. And they ended up hiring basically their 7th choice. Now, some people at Oregon have debated that, Taggart wasn't our 7th choice. BS, man. They were throwing out overtures to all sorts of people. They interviewed Taggart first. Why? I'm not rhetorical. I'm asking you, why they interviewed Taggart first? You know why?
Why?
Because they had to meet the minority candidate requirement.
Yeah.
They had to interview a person of color. Once you interview a person of color, then you can hire whoever you want the next day.
Yeah.
But you can't interview a bunch of white guys and hire one of them until you've interviewed a black guy or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that's why they interviewed Taggart first. The only reason, period, end of story, I don't hear anything else, is the same thing they did with Pep Hamilton when they hired Helfrich. They did a phone interview with Pep Hamilton to get it out of the way and then named Helfrich the head coach, right? So when they went after Taggart, they went out and all these white coaches turned him down. All these big name coaches turned him down. Didn't want to work.
After Taggart.
After they interviewed Taggart. So then Mullins doubled back to Taggart because he liked him. Okay. Right? And from what I understand, Phil Knight and Kilkenny were not on board with that hiring at all. But he was the AD. He made the decision. He made a bold move. I actually like the move for a lot of different reasons. One, he's African American. 2, you're going young and energetic. See what happens. Vibrant, great recruiter. See if he can recruit to Eugene. So I thought for what they had, it was a good hire. But the point was that was not their goal. Their goal is not to fire a legacy staff and end up with Willie Taggart from South Florida. So then he leaves. My other warning was you're going to get someone who's going to view Oregon as a stepping stone. Oregon's not a stepping stone. It's a destination program. BS. It's a stepping stone. It is not a top elite tier program. It's a next tier program. And sure enough, what happened? 1 year in, Willie Taggart bounces to Florida State like it was nothing. I'm out. He's gone. So now you have Mario Cristobal. Cristobal has a 27-47 record. Is that what Oregon was looking for? There's no way anyone on the planet can convince me that Mario Cristobal is a better head coach than Mark Helfrich. I don't want to hear all this because he has a different demeanor and he's tougher. He's from the SEC. Blah. I don't want to hear that nonsense. He's not a better coach. You know why? Look at the product on the field. This offense right now. 2 years ago in 2016, when they struggled with a freshman quarterback, they lost Crosby and started 4 redshirt freshman offensive linemen. Freeman was in and out of the lineup all season. They had more injuries than I've ever seen in my life. Devin Allen went down for the season. Dwayne Stanford went down for the season. Taj Griffin went down for the season. That offense that year was better than this offense. So all they needed to do was give him the money to go get a defensive coordinator that they gave Taggart and that they gave Cristobal Lovett, and they could have fixed it. But no, they played it cheap on defensive coordinator. They didn't want to pay Wilcox. They gave him Hulk, who probably wasn't a good fit. Then they switched to 4-3, which is ridiculous. Yeah. To me, that's not all on Helfrich. So all I'm saying is, at the end of the day, so far, I've been proven right in terms of what they ended up with and the trajectory of the program. It is not necessarily going up any more than it would have gone with Helfrich. They'd be better right now with Helfrich and a better defensive coordinator. I believe that 100%.
I see. I look at the mark of good teams, right? You have some very fair points about them not wanting to invest in a defensive coordinator and all of that. I 100%. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And in college football, a lot of times you get what you pay for. Sometimes you pay for the wrong things. But if you want, if you want Dino Babers, if you want any of these top defensive head coaches, top defensive coordinators, it's going to cost money. Right. It costs money to keep them. It costs money to get them. And if you want that type of defense, then you have to invest in it. So I will 100% agree with you there. The other point about the same results, I don't know, because
offensively,
no. Offensively, absolutely. Except for my only question is, which has been basically the last three coaches now, is if you have, two really, if you have your Taggart and Helfrich, I don't understand what's going on with the backup quarterback situation. I'm like, how can we be this great offensively? You be an offensive genius as a coach between Taggart and between Helfrich, and you get your backup quarterback in. You're up a billion points against TCU in a bowl game, and you all you needed was 3 first downs to win. You didn't even need any points.
I know. Well, you know what? Actually, okay. Yes, that was abysmal. The single most important play that happened in that game was Charles Nelson's fumble on the kickoff. Yes. That allowed TCU to score 14 points in 25 seconds. But yes, listen, Lockett didn't work out. But Lockett was signed under Chip, I must point out. People like to pretend Lockett was all Helfrich's fault. Lockett committed to Oregon under Chip. People like to ignore that fact, but it is a fact, okay? They like to give Chip credit for Mariota and then blame Helfrich for Lockett. It's just it's stupid Lockett. It's ridiculous, right? But Helfrich and Kelly recruited Lockett, and Helfrich was the primary recruiter on Mariota. Chip Kelly didn't even know who Marcus Mariota was, and that's an absolute fact. When Helfrich called him and said, "We need to offer this guy," Chip said, "I trust you." And then Mark offered him. Chip had never even seen the guy play. All right, so that didn't work out, and Morgan Mihalik didn't work out. Travis Johnson was injured early, but these were elite 11 QBs. These were marquee recruits that had offers from all over. They just didn't work out. Terry Wilson and Travis Johnson left because they knew they couldn't beat out Herbert. So that was just bad luck, because if Terry Wilson had stayed, you win a couple more games last year, I believe, after
correct.
Herbert went down. So what are you going to do?
At what point in time, do you believe, I'll just say what I believe, is that the best thing that came out of the Willie Taggart situation for me was the fact that the myth was dispelled that you could not recruit to Oregon. That you could. No,
100%. And actually, on one of the Talking Ducks rants I went on, I did say, after saying all the things I said before about not getting a marquee coach, blah, 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 I did say the only thing I would give into as a legit reason to maybe fire the staff was if you found someone who could consistently recruit into the top 10. Yep. Okay. But there is another side to that. Let's not forget, and Chip Kelly apologists and lovers want to forget this, Chip Kelly put them on probation.
Yes.
So they lost visits, they lost a couple scholarships, and there was negative recruiting going on. Assistant coaches told me that they heard from recruits that other coaches were telling them, if you don't want to go to Oregon, they get one more strike. They could be, they could get the death penalty. Whether it was true or not, they were using negative recruiting. And there was one other thing, too. Oregon had been fighting for years to make it okay to pay for families to come with the players to visit Eugene, because it's tough for people to get to Eugene from anywhere, because you can't just, it's not a direct flight, it's expensive. So if I have a kid coming to visit, I can pay for him. But if mom and dad want to come, they got to pay out of their pocket. That's expensive. Where they could drive to USC, they could drive to USC. So
they They paid for me and both my parents to come up there, so
Are you sure?
I'm 100% positive because
maybe
there was no way my parents would have been up there.
Okay, then you are an NCAA violation, and I'm gonna have that looked into. No, I'm kidding. But I've talked to assistants about this. The rule changed recently, so maybe it changed the other way and then came back. But two assistants from Oregon told me that they were trying to get that done, and it finally got done because other programs in the conference were trying to block it because they knew if Oregon got parents to that campus and saw the facilities, it would be game over. Well, that rule finally changed the year Taggart took over. So Taggart won. Oregon came off probation. They got all their visits. They got their scholarships back, and they were able to fly parents in to visit, and that helped them. So I'm not saying that that's old staff didn't need to change their recruiting ways. I do think they did. But here's something for you. One more thing. You mentioned that the hope was gone. Here's the commits from that first recruiting class who are playing right now on this team that committed to Helfrich. Johnny Johnson III committed to Helfrich, not Taggart. Nick Pickett, Helfrich, not Taggart. Jalen Redd, Helfrich, not Taggart. Samson New, Helfrich, not Taggart. C.J. Verdell, Helfrich, not Taggart. C.J. Verdell is Gary Campbell's final gift to the Oregon football program. So 16 of the 22 stars right now were Helfrich recruits. Just saying.
Here is what I would say about Oregon's roster at this point in time. I know some of the kids. I talked to some of the kids. I talked to the coaches, and this is my honest assessment. I think that 1 to 15, that you have a lot of above average potential NFL players, and I think that from 16 down to like in the 2 deep, so from 16 to 44, that we are in need of some serious depth, and we are not like I would say below average at a lot of those spots.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
I do think there's some depth issues, and I think that especially on defense, I wrote about this in 2016. They dropped the ball defensively recruiting in 13, 14, 15. It was bad. I think off the top of my head, it was like they had signed 25 4-star kids in that stretch, and only 5 were on defense, and none of the 5 were like Canton Kamatuli got injured. Tarati Prevost was the backup. I think one of them was Brenner, who ended up moving to O-line. So they were totally missing the mark. I think the only one that really hit was Ugo Amadi. And it's off the top of my head, I've been writing about it. So the numbers might be off a little bit. But the bottom line is,
that's why the pillow fighting started. And that's why the pillow fighting started.
That's one of the reasons why the defense fell off. The secondary was horrible in 15. In 16, the secondary had grown up, but the front 7 was awful. Yeah. But from that 2016 front 7, you had guys who've grown up now who are ballers. You had Hollins, you had Jelks, you had Dye, Carlberg's been playing, Baker's been playing a lot, Amadi was on that team. So the point is that defense in 16, as bad as it was extremely young and extremely beat up. I believe those guys would have gotten better regardless of who was the defensive coordinator, which is another topic. Levitt's overpaid, but if you want to.
No. Hold on. You cannot say that players will get better despite who the coach is. Look at USC. They signed 5-star recruits who can jump over the moon, bench press the house, and these kids are not getting better.
Right. I mean, it's not universal, George. I agree with you. But again, we're talking about a defensive coaching staff that coached when a lot of those guys coached when you were there. They helped develop that defense. Yep. They helped develop the defense that Chip had. They helped develop the defense that Mark had. Why would they not continue to develop guys moving forward just because they had a bad year?
Yeah. I think that the trouble with the old coaching staff centered for me around recruiting. I thought that they were great teachers. I thought that they were potentially better teachers than the guys who are on staff now. The guys on staff now, they are great recruiters and all of that. So my question to you is this: if the Oregon State has the worst defense in the Pac-12, it's not even close. We got the Civil War this weekend. If the Ducks don't blow the doors off of Oregon State, like offensively, they're one of the worst defenses in the entire country. And the Ducks struggled against Arizona, who is one of the worst defenses, and struggled against UCLA, who had a bad defense. Yep. So if the Ducks struggle against Oregon State in any half, whether it's one half, both halves, do you believe that they will have to make a change at offensive coordinator? And will they be willing to?
Again, like I said, I'm a coach apologist. So my take on this would be, look, they're in their first year doing what they're trying to do, Cristobal and Arroyo, right? And so I'm going to give them some allowances to say, okay, let's see if they can improve on it the next year. I just don't believe in, oh my goodness, it was a bad month or a bad year, let's just fire somebody. Like, to me, I just and the thing is, like you say, like a lot of people say I'm a coach apologist for Helfrich. When Helfrich demoted Pelham, I destroyed Helfrich, and I called him out.
I love Don Pelham. DP is a personal friend of mine. However, the defense, like the scheme, the strategy was atrocious.
Okay, but in 2014 again, they faced the greatest group of offenses Oregon has ever faced in one season. That's a statistical fact. It's just in the non-conference alone. You have Florida State, Michigan State, which was a top 20 defense, and Ohio State, right? That's just non-conference.
Yeah.
So they allowed 23.5 points per game with DP as the defense coordinator. 23.5 against that schedule. So, yeah, 2015 was a disaster. The secondary was a joke. They were getting roasted. People were blowing coverages. Arion Springs did no different than cover 3 and cover 2. It was a complete disaster. But, again, do we just say, okay, you got a bad year, demotion? And here's the other thing. I'm going to throw this out to you, too, and I wrote about this. I thought it was completely ridiculous that Mark Helfrich knew Lockie couldn't be a quarterback, and it was the fault of Kelly, Lockie, and Frost, that they didn't have a replacement for Mariota, right? It was their fault. What'd they do? They went out and got Vernon Adams to fill that gap. Rosso loses. They don't really have a new center. They went up and got a center, Hegarty, to fill that gap. Did they go out and get any defensive impact players for Pelham? No, they didn't. They left him with what he had. So the coordinator, all the guys, Chip Kelly didn't have a quarterback to replace Mariota. He's the head coach in the NFL. Mark Helfrich dropped the ball on quarterback. Oh, he's the head coach of Oregon, got a big raise. Scott Frost dropped the ball recruiting a quarterback after Helfrich became the head coach. Scott Frost got a fancy new job at Central Florida. Don Pelham was left with no help on defense, right? Can I get an impact safety transfer? And then he has a bad year, and boom, he's demoted. How does that work?
Hey, listen. If I ever get fired or in trouble, I'm bringing you. You are the GOAT, man. You are the GOAT. I wanna end you with a topic of discussion for all Pac-12 fans. Well, two points. Right. Number one, which and when Pac-12 school will be the first to win a national championship, and when will it be?
You know what? So if I'm correct, I think USC, UW shared a national title with Miami in 90 or 91.
91.
Right. And other than that, USC is the only other team in the conference to win the title in at least 40 years.
Correct.
Okay.
And Oregon's been twice.
Honestly, I would have to say USC. Like, to me, if USC gets the coach right, then USC is unstoppable. They just have trouble getting the coach right, which shows how great Pete Carroll actually was, doesn't it?
For sure.
Oh my God. I mean, my goodness. I mean, when they hired Pete Carroll, I remember people saying, what are they doing hiring this loser? Yeah, okay. He turned that thing into a juggernaut, right? And since he's been gone, their recruiting classes have been similar. They haven't come close, other than a couple. They won the conference last year, so you got to give them credit for that. But they weren't really national title contenders. So I'm going to go with USC. I honestly do not believe that Oregon is going to sniff a national championship game anytime soon. Like, I think the era is gone. I think they're chasing fool's gold now. I think they think, we can make it happen. It was all Helfrich's fault, BS. That's another thing. Let me say one thing too. Another reason why I didn't freak out as much about the slide is that in 2012 I predicted that the slide was coming. I basically said after Mariota they're going to dip, they're going to fall off, because I think everyone in the conference is getting better. Everyone's catching up to that style of offense. It's not an impact. It's not a shock to the system anymore. And that things are going to level out. So first, you're beating teams. You're running away in the second half. Most of the games, 10 and 11, they won the second half by wearing teams down. So beating people 48 to 20, and then all of a sudden the teams that were averaging 20 are now averaging 30. And then they're used to your offense, and you come down. Now you have closer games. You have closer games. You're going to have more losses. I was saying that in 12. So when it happened in 15, which is the year I kind of predicted it was going to start happening after
the defense was awful too.
Right. I wasn't surprised by it. I was like, this is natural. They're sliding back into being a program that's going to be 9-4, 6-6. Then boom, they might go 12-0 and then back down. And sort of be like that. Whereas everyone else expects them to be 12 wins every year, and that's just not going to happen.
Here is what Here's what I did. I predicted when Oregon went to the 2 national championships in 5 years, right? The year before that, I said Oregon will go to 2 national championships in the next 5 years. I said it on TV. Everybody thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
And I was right. I predict now, here with you,
bring it,
that 2 things, that within the next 2 years, UCLA will be in the national championship, in the conversation. So like that means like a top 12 team, like toward the middle of the year, toward the end of the year.
10-win team, right?
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
That they'll be in the conversation in 2 years. So not next season, but the season after, when Dorian Thompson-Robinson is a junior, like he played 20 freshmen this year, and the team is clearly improved. The team is clearly improving. Like despite them only being 3-8, they are a 3-8 team. You don't really want to play that much.
And Chip said they only have 60 scholarship guys right now.
Yeah, dude, that team is on the come, buddy.
Yeah, I agree.
And then also, I do believe that if Oregon continues to be able to recruit like you've been able to see this year, I do think that because there's all type of stats that show like if you get like a number of top 6 classes, then it like you end up in the playoffs some kind of way.
Right.
So I do believe that if they're able to recruit that way, that Oregon will be back in a national title game within 5 years. That's my.
Well, okay, they have to get the quarterback.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so that's one, and
so
we'll see how that works out.
That's one. Does Herbert, Mitchell, and Troy Dye all come back?
I believe Herbert's back for sure. I don't know why Mitchell would go. I don't think he's a clear, top 3 round pick. So I don't see why he would go at all. Dye is going to be interesting, but I think he comes back as well. I think all 3 of those guys come back. But here's the other question about the recruiting thing. Yes, you said recruiting, but you said yourself you question this staff as teachers. So is this staff capable though, or is it going to be like the USC staff, which can't win consistently with all the crews they have?
I pray for these things at night, Aaron. And the last part is every week the Pac-12 refs are just much maligned. Everybody's talking about them, and I always feel like I'm piling on. But as soon as I feel like I'm piling on, they do something egregious, especially with these targeting penalties. They're awful at it.
Yeah, I hear you. I admit, George.
Go ahead and apologize for the refs too.
No, I'm not. I go numb when people start crying about the refs. I just
you have a heart.
Like like in the NBA, it comes up a lot, and I'm just like, oh god. Like I think it all balances out. That said, clearly, if so many people are this upset about things, I've seen some questionable calls, and maybe there's some issues, but then I think things need to be fixed. I just honestly, I'm a very opinionated person. I've never had an opinion on that.
Yeah. See, my biggest telltale sign about the Pac-12 refs is that scandal that happened with Porter Gustin with Washington State.
Yeah,
and
that
USC.
was bad.
And then Larry Scott came out and was like, "Oh, we're not going to release the tapes. This is an isolated incident." And nobody believes that, because when you don't have transparency, nobody will believe there's such thing.
Right. No, there needs to definitely be some cleaning up to do. I just. Here's the thing. I watch the Duck game and people on Twitter be like, "Oh, that was such an awful call. It was an awful call." Then they showed it on replay and it was the right call.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of complaining is kind of obnoxious and is inaccurate. So I'm sorry. I usually have an opinion on 99% of things. That's just one. My eyes glaze over.
Well, hey, Aaron, you guys, thank you guys for joining into the Unafraid Show. George Reister here. We were joined today by a great guest, Aaron Fentress from NBCSports Northwest. He is the man who's opinionated about everything and will apologize for anybody for anything. And he did a great job on dropping the dime today. And we found out he does not hate the Ducks. He does love Mark Helfrich, even though he is denying he has his phone number. And we all know that's not true.
I think Helfrich deserved another shot.
man, you're gonna die on that hill.
I'm gonna die on that island by myself.
Yep. And thank you for joining us again, Aaron. I appreciate your time. You guys go to unafraidshow.com. Check out Aaron's work at Aaron J. Fentress. on Twitter. He's got all type of great articles on the Seahawks, on the NFL, college football, Pac-12, all that. All right. Thanks for joining us today, Aaron.
Thanks, man. Loved it.
All right. Appreciate it. All right, guys, make sure you download the podcast. We will catch you guys tomorrow. And if not, happy Thanksgiving.